Hey boys, welcome back to some NRL Supercoach pre-season discussions here. We're going to be going through the Manly Seagulls squad breakdown. As you can see, it is only, well, you might not see it. It might be cut off from the screen, but there's only 10 days till lockout when I'm making this video. So the season is fast approaching, and very, very keen to get into it. But yeah, let's go through the Manly team. So dummy halves. Honestly, they're gonna. Oh boy, the Seagulls. There could be a cheapie pop up because obviously Manasi Fainu is still gone for the foreseeable future. Kieran Foran, he's gone to the club, and I honestly don't know. I mean, I recently watched the Manly Tigers trial. It was a decent game. Like usually, I got to see bits and pieces of a few of the trials. I watched pretty much all of the Broncos Cowboys trial. But most of the trials, like the first 40 minutes was pretty good. But then when mainly all the main players went off, for most of the teams, it lost a little bit of interest. But yeah, it was good. It was good footy. Honestly, the trials learned a little bit. But honestly, that Schuster for the Seagulls looked very, very good. He is quite the player. So I don't know what the Seagulls are going to do. Like, Kieran Foran was tipped to get the 5'8" spot. I know there was talk that he could play dummy half. And that might be what happens, because yeah, that Schuster is very, very good. I like him a lot, and I think he would work well with Cherry Evans. He's a big boy. He's a strong runner. Got all the skills. I like him a lot. And then the other big news, Cade Cast, who I was actually a little bit keen on. He's 424, so he was probably a little bit too expensive, but him playing dummy half, I thought he's a really good player as well, and I like him in dummy half. He's similar to Damien Cook. Like, he's quick, he's explosive, he's tough. I like him a lot, but he suffered I don't know what the actual injury was, but he did go off in a pretty bad way. His wrist or forearm, he had a problem there. So I don't know what they're gonna do with the dummy halves. And then Lachlan Croaker, I mean, maybe he comes in at dummy half. Yeah, I don't know. Kieran Foran might go there. But yeah, regardless, there's no real dummy half options. That's sort of the short answer in this. But there's interesting ramifications with that. If Kieran Foran goes to dummy half, that Schuster could be a really good cheapie pickup at 5'8". I'm pretty sure he's only a 5'8". We'll see in a bit. Then we go to the front rowers, and Sione Fainu, so he's he's the brother of Manasi, but I'm pretty sure when Cuss went off injured, I'm pretty sure he came on and played dummy half. And I know one of the commentators said that he was a front rower, and you know he's not a dummy half. But when he went to dummy half, I was like, is this a different guy? Because he looked exactly like Manasi. And he wasn't a real big boy. Like, he was pretty solid, but he wasn't massive. And I'm like, he looks like a dummy half. It looked like I was losing my mind a little bit. But yeah, I don't know what was going on there. But obviously they had no dummy half option. So, but he actually looked like a dummy half. So that's what I was very confused about. Rest of them, Zach Sadler obviously played in the All-Stars game. It's a weird one because there's a second year in a row he's played in the All-Stars game, but I don't think he's even in the top 30 for the Seagulls again this year. So he's definitely not going to be playing unless he's a late call up. He could get like a bench spot, or you know he could get into the squad, but he's actually not in the top 30, which is just. It seems a bit baffling. Like, he looks like a really solid player, but yeah, definitely. I mean, one for the future, but yeah, just I don't know. The Seagulls just haven't had a spot for him, which is strange because I feel like they've had a really strong forward pack at times, but they've definitely had injuries, and then their depth always seems to be a little bit lacking. So I'm surprised he hasn't been in the 30-man squad, but a couple other guys. I mean, Sipley. could get more minutes. Actually, I don't know. He might not get a spot at all. Morgan Boyle, he showed glimpses at times. At the Times, he had a couple of good games. At the Seagulls, he had a couple of good games, but never really consistent minutes. Sean Kepi, very good young player. He could be someone to stand up. Obviously, with Adam Fanua-Blake leaving. There's a bit of a hole in the forward pack there. They have signed Josh Alloway, who I'm honestly not a huge fan of Alloway. I mean, as a replacement for Adam Fanua-Blake, I think it's a pretty weak replacement. But at the moment, I would expect Taniela Paseka and Marty DePau to start in the front row. And then, yeah, maybe, I mean, Alloway might get the spot over Paseka, but I personally think Paseka is probably the better option. And then Kepi at 270k. I mean, it's another cheap. He's not a real cheapie. He's just a little bit over what you would probably want, but he's got a high work rate. He's got an offload. He's definitely a sneaky pickup, because he's not gonna make a stack of cash, but his minutes definitely could improve. I think their forward pack is a little bit weak this year, in all honesty. And then the other guy here, Marty DePau, so before, I was very, very tempted with Marty DePau at 530k. He's been a little bit down the last couple of years. I just feel like his offloading game has dropped off a cliff for some reason. I don't know. I think teams may have just figured him out a little bit, or really just trying to nullify DePau, like just trying to target him, not letting him get the arm free, because yeah, his offloads have been down for sure. But I thought with Fanua-Blake being gone, I was hopeful that DePau would get bigger minutes. I thought he would really sort of take the lead, but honestly, watching the trial, I was a bit disappointed with DePau, and you can't really read too much into it, but it's sort of taken me off him a little bit. And I think there's probably better options. I think probably even Fanua-Blake at the Warriors is a better option. But I think my very first team, I had Marty DePau and Fanua-Blake in the starting front row. But yeah, I think there's just better options at that 500k in the front row. There's so many good front rowers. The back row, again, there's not too much doing here. I mean, Jake Trbojevic has been a gun in the past, and I still think he's going to be good. Like, he's always going to score that 60 to 70, but I've never been a massive Jake Trbojevic fan in Supercoach, because I think he does heavily rely on a few, like, lucky try assists and tries, and they usually come off the back of Tommy Trbojevic, and obviously we'll get to the big news there, which obviously everyone knows about, but Tom being out injured definitely hinders Jake's game. And also Trbojevic is, I guess as well, last couple of years he has changed from a few years ago he definitely took a lot more just carries up the ruck, but now he is more of that trying to be ball playing lock, which I actually don't think works that well for him, but I don't know, they've persisted with it for a while now. Desi Hasler does like that in his forward, so I could expect them to keep that going, and it just means like his runs are down. He might get the odd line break assist, but yeah, just in general, I'm off Jake Trbojevic. Curtis Siren, again, he's priced probably what he will get. He's a good back rower, but again, there's just so many good options in the back row that Curtis he's just a little bit down. He can definitely pull out some big games because he's got a couple of tries in him. He's got the offload, but I think the consistency has always been a little bit up and down with Curtis Siren. Andrew Davey was a guy that a lot of people were keen on, but in the trial, Jack Gazewski actually started and looked pretty good. I mean, his first touch, he made a line break. Didn't really do too much else, but I don't know. Maybe Jack Gazewski could be an okay option to pick up in the back row. Again, he's 300k. It's awkward. Even Andrew Davey, if he got that starting spot, 330, 300. I mean, it's just a little bit. it's an awkward price for a guy that you're not exactly confident that they're going to play 80 minutes. And I don't think either of those guys are going to score like incredibly well. So there's definitely, I mean, Andrew Davey has 7%. I'm a bit, they'll probably switch around. I mean, it depends who gets the spot, obviously. And then Ben Trebojevic, I don't know why, dude, so many people just chuck Ben Trebojevic in the team, I guess because the Trebojevic name. I don't think, I mean, maybe he'll jag a bench spot sometime during the year, but he's definitely not going to play big minutes unless there's an injury crisis at Manly. Yeah, I don't know if he's like, I don't know how he rates in terms of his brothers in terms of ability, but yeah, he's been in the system for a while now, obviously, and he hasn't really got a crack. So I don't know, maybe just not quite ready for it. He might burst onto the scene this year or next year, who knows? But he's one to keep an eye on. Everyone's always keen on him. But again, no one's really picking my fancy in the Seagulls team at the moment. The halfback. So Daly Cherry Evans. Oh man, I was keen on Cherry Evans, and I talked about this, that if Cherry Evans was kicking goals, I was probably going to go with Cherry Evans over Moses. But then a couple of big things. Well, the biggest thing was Tommy is gone, which pretty much, even if Cherry Evans was going to kick goals, I wouldn't have gone with him anyway. With Tom missing, it just limits their attack so much. And you know, I still think Cherry Evans can score well and set up tries without Trebojevic, but it just hinders their attack, and yeah, it's a massive blow. So I wouldn't go Cherry Evans now. And the other thing, I think Garrick is getting one of the wing spots, so he'll definitely kick goals over Cherry Evans regardless. So yeah, I think DC is a bit of a no-go, bit of a trap now with all that going on. At 570k as well, he's pretty expensive. So in my opinion, Moses, if you're going to go someone a little bit out of left field, I probably think Moses is the way to go there. The 5'8", so like I talked about, Josh Schuster looked really good, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with their team. I don't know where Kieran Foran slots in. Cade Cuss, is he out for a while? Yeah, not too sure. Oh, the other young guy here, Weeks. Oh man, I feel bad for the young kid, because I had no idea who he was, but obviously he played in that trial game, and Luciano Leilua gave him an absolute nightmare. Oh, every time he touched it, he destroyed the young fella. He made a couple of nice tackles, but geez, it was tough work for a young kid. I don't know if it was his like debut, like sort of trial for the Seagulls, but he wouldn't have played many, and yeah, it was a tough first experience for sure for the young fella. But yeah, Schuster looked really good. Who knows? Lachlan Croaker might get a bench spot. Dylan Walker, I guess he's probably going to be playing in the centres. He didn't play in the trial either. So, yeah, I don't know. The Seagulls are just a bit of a rabble at the moment. It's a wait and see. And then the centre wings. So again, Ben Trebojevic here. People, yeah, keen a little bit. Jason Saab, another guy, but he didn't play in the... He didn't play in the trial, or he might have been on the extended bench and came on. I actually didn't watch the end of the game, but he didn't start, which was very surprising. So I don't know. I'd be surprised if he didn't. Like he was very talented at the Dragons. The Dragons didn't give him a shot. The Seagulls poached him, and then it seems weird that they wouldn't play him, but I don't know, maybe there's other issues there, dude. Like, he's not getting the chance, so maybe he's not as good as, like, people sort of expect him to be, maybe? I'm not too sure, but he's definitely an option. If he gets a spot at 230k, it's hard to sort of pass up on, because he's definitely a try scorer. And then, yeah, honestly, not too much else doing here. I mean, Ruben Garrick at 360, it's not terrible, but again, you know, without Tommy there, with the goal kicks, it's decent, but without Tommy, the tries are going to be down regardless. Probably a big one, Morgan Harper. He's actually a really, really good player. In the trial, he was far and away the Seagulls' best player. Every time he touches a dude, he's so elusive. He's not a big boy, but he's just got that strength. He's similar like a Cameron Munster, not looking at him, he's not like he's not the, like, you wouldn't think of him as the strongest player, but he's just got that strength to wriggle out of tackles and break through, and just that elusive nature. I really like Harper, and he's going to get that fullback spot you would expect with Turbo being out. And he could score pretty well. Unfortunately, he did play 5 games and he got up to 400k, which it's just a little bit, again, it's just a little bit overpriced for what you'd want him to be. I think he's definitely undervalued for him playing fullback, but he's not going to be there forever. But even in the centers, he's not a bad option. But yeah, I just think it's just that awkward price. If he was like 50k, a bit over 50k cheaper, 100% he'd be in the team. But yeah, 400, it's tough because I actually really like him, but just, yeah, a little bit too expensive, I think, for now. And then the fullbacks, the big talking point, Tommy Trbojevic. So yeah, I had, as you can see in the thing here, I still have him in my team at the moment. I'm definitely getting rid of him for Pappenhausen, because Pappenhausen is going to be kicking goals. Unless he stuffs it up, then Munster will probably take over. But yeah, obviously Tom's out, so everyone's going to get rid of him. It's a shame in numerous ways. The first one obviously being that it's always a shame when the best players are out injured. You want to see the best players go around every week. But then also it's just annoying because like it makes the fullback options so much smaller now. Like no Ponga, no Trbojevic. Like everyone's pretty much going to go pretty much the same too. Like a few people are going to go like AJ Brimson or Gutherson or a couple other guys there, but for the most part, I think people are going to go Pappenhausen and Tedesco, you would imagine. There's obviously going to be a few difference, but yeah, it's always a shame when there's less options. So yeah, unfortunate for the Seagulls and Tommy. It's another talking point for another day, but yeah, their hamstrings, something's got to change. Otherwise, yeah, he definitely cannot continue to play. I don't know, play in the NRL, play at fullback. I don't know what's got to change, but you cannot keep someone that can't, like, yeah. It's another discussion. Could talk about that for a while, but let's move on. Honestly, overall the Seagulls, not much doing at the Seagulls this year, I feel. I don't know, before the preseason I was thinking they could be a pretty good showing, but not a whole lot doing there. Let's go on to the Sharkies. So dummy halves, honestly, nothing really doing here. Blake Brayley, he was a great cheapie a couple of years ago. And I don't really expect anything too much more from him. He's just that 40 to 50 type scorer. Solid in defense, but doesn't really offer too much more. So yeah, nothing really there for the dummy halves. The front rowers. So big one here, Andrew Fafita. He's coming in at 398k. It's probably as cheap as he's ever been. He probably got a little bit cheaper last year when he was scoring pretty badly, but he looked really good in the All-Stars. He looked good in the trial, playing big minutes. Like I don't think I'd go him, but for 400k, you couldn't go too wrong with Fafita. Taking a punt on Fafita at 400, it's not the worst idea. Then we go down here, Braden Ueli, an absolute monster at 400k as well. I'd love to get him as well, but I don't feel like he's probably, yeah, his minutes probably aren't going to go up either. Like he definitely is used as more of that impact player. So he's got, he's got the big scores in him, but then he's also got the low scores because he doesn't play huge minutes. He's got a high work rate, but yeah, he's got the game for Supercoach, but just the minutes aren't quite there. And I guess that's the trade-off. If he played more minutes, then his work rate would go down. So yeah, a couple of interesting options there to start, and then I guess the other big thing is the Sharks have so many front rowers. I have no idea why on earth they signed Aiden Tolman. I can't for the life of me understand why they would sign Tolman, but I don't know. I have no idea. They're just signing like washed up has-beens, basically. I don't get it, dude. They signed Aaron Woods before. Now they're signing Tolman. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. It's a strange sort of recruitment from the Sharks. Even, I mean, the Johnson has been one of their best players, but even signing Sean Johnson back then was a bit of a strange one. Matt Moylan was a strange one. Yeah, I don't know. The Sharks, honestly, their recruitment is weird. It's a weird strategy, but yeah, they got so much depth in the front row that it's so hard to go with, even for Feeder. I feel like even though he played big minutes in the trial in the All Stars, with their full strength team, like, Tolman's gonna play big minutes. Woods is gonna play pretty big minutes. Rudolph is gonna play big minutes at probably lock. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know who misses out. You can't really go any of them at that rate. In the back row, Jack Williams. Jack Williams. I think it was last year? I thought he would be like a gun. Absolute gun at lock. I thought he'd be a must buy, and then he didn't play big minutes. He wasn't good at all. He was pretty good in real life footy, but Supercoach wise, just didn't do much at all. So unfortunately, even if he got that starting lock spot, I wouldn't be confident selecting him at 300k. He did the same thing the other time and didn't really go up in price at all. Toby Rudolph was a great cheapie last year, but I don't really see too much more from him. Wade Graham, he's sort of never really been too relevant. Talakai, he's an absolute monster, but I'd be surprised if he got a starting spot. Britton Nakora looked pretty good in the All-Stars. Maybe he's back to a bit of form, but without Sean Johnson again, it makes that attack much weaker. With Johnson feeding Nakora, it's a pretty good edge. But great cheapie couple of years ago, but not too much doing at this rate. In the halfback department, again, Sean Johnson is gone. He's the only real. Braden Trindle. He's a good young player, but he's not going to get a spot, you would imagine. Maybe a utility bench spot. Although Connor Tracy is probably going to get that bench spot. And, Connor Tracy, he can score well when he's on the field. But, yeah, 258, he's not a bad. He's not a terrible, reserve halfback to have, because it depends if he gets a bench spot, because he could come on and do some damage. Like they could definitely use him for more minutes around the middle of the field, and he could cause some damage. He's got the line break, he's got the tackle bust. Like, he's an attacking weapon. He's similar to a Connor Watson in that sense. So yeah, if as a backup halfback, if there's not that many options, so Tracy could be an okay pickup if he gets a utility role. Chad Townsend never really been relevant in Supercoach. Johnson the only one. If Johnson was fit, I'd probably be going Johnson. I've pretty much started Johnson most years when he's been fit, and he's never let me down. Honestly, he's always good, and I'm so disappointed he suffered that Achilles injury, because he was finding some really good form at the Sharks. Like, I actually feel like he was playing the best footy he has for a long time, even maybe in his whole career, which might seem ridiculous to say, but I don't know. I actually prefer the way he plays now. He definitely has lost like a lot of that flashiness and like the solo effort tries and whatnot, but I actually feel like he controlled the game better last year. His defense is far better. Like he played really tough. He didn't do that early in his career, so I was really enjoying the way Sean Johnson was playing. So yeah, the Achilles injury is a real shame, because hopefully he can come back and continue the good form. But yeah, it's gonna be tough. And Achilles is just it's a bad injury. Yeah, hoping he does come back and fires up again. In the 5'8" department, a couple again with Tracy. If you're gonna go Tracy, definitely get him as the backup halfback, because as the backup 5'8", there's definitely some better options with Connor Watson, Matty Moylan. Yeah, out of these two, you'd definitely go Moylan. Moylan is going to get that starting 5'8" spot, and I actually, oh man, at the moment, I've got Connor Watson as my backup 5'8", but I might put Watson as my backup dummy half to fit Matty Moylan as the 5'8" backup, because I actually feel like Moylan is, I don't know, I just have a sneaky feeling that Moylan's going to have a good year for the Sharks. I don't know, he looked pretty good in the trial. He looked, I mean, yeah, I don't know, at 5'8", I think he can score pretty well. So I think he's a very good option to have. A lot of people have him 29%, and it definitely makes sense for sure. So moving on to the center wings. Mcdonald, dude, I love Mcdonald, man. He was one of the best wingers in the game a few years ago. Obviously, he suffered a terrible ankle injury when he went to the Cowboys. He had some off-field issues, but he's at the Sharks now. He's second year at the Sharks, I think. He played 2 games last year. I still think he can offer so much to the NRL. And I mean, he was a gun winger. Like if he could get back to that form, I mean, at 248, he is a must-have. But I don't think he's gonna get a spot. But geez, he was a good player back in the day, and I still think he's got a lot to offer. Who else have we got? We won't talk about Sherry. I don't even know. I don't know how he's not sacked, in all honesty. How is he still in the Sharks? How is he still in the books, dude? Ronaldo Mulattalo, I love him as a player, but he's probably not one of those wingers you'd have in at 400k. Talakai. So Talakai, I talked about in the back row. I forgot that. Yeah, he's a dual center wing. So I mean, if he jagged a second row spot, to be able to pick him up in center wing would be very, very nice. But he is expensive, and just the uncertainty with the position and also this injury, you can't go in. But if he gets a spot, it's a wait and see. Like if he in a couple of weeks he gets a spot there, Nikori's out of form or something, he'd be a good pickup in the center wing spot. And then the fullbacks, not too much doing here at all. Yeah, honestly, nothing. Dugan has never really been. But I'm trying to remember, actually, did Dugan play much fullback last year? I definitely wouldn't be going Dugan, but he's going to play fullback this year. And I'm trying to think, maybe him playing fullback, he's going to score a lot better, but I don't know. You couldn't go him. That's for sure. Maybe it's center wing. Maybe it could be a big punt on Dugan having a breakout year again. But I can't see it happening. And then I just anyone else here. I mean, I guess you could go a cheapie and Moylan at fullback, but again, I just don't think that's the way to go. I think having 2 gun fullbacks is much better value. So yeah, that's the Sharks and Manly. Honestly, not too much doing from either team. Some interesting stuff, but not a whole lot. But hopefully, you guys are enjoying the Supercoach discussion videos. Make sure to like and comment. I'll see you guys in the next one.